Welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Eric, hey, I'm Mark. How's it going?
Great. It's a little early today for me, but
You gonna make it?
no. I might pass out.
Okay.
We are approaching lunchtime. So.
I know. Normally, that's my wake-up time. Joining us for today's episode is James.
Hello.
Thank you,
James.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it is my pleasure.
No. The pleasure is
Don't
mine.
say you're. I was worried. I don't like it when you get pleasure. It's never good. And
Yes,
there's
you guys-
the touches.
You guys
Perfect.
managed to give me more than 15 minutes notice this time, so it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Barely. We don't want to give you too much notice.
Keep me on my toes.
Yeah. But today's episode is Necron assets and outcasts.
Yeah, it's a very cool episode. We're talking about, well,
You should just listen to the episode.
yeah. Stay tuned, as they say.
Assets and tits, yep.
Asses and tits, yeah.
Necron assets.
Yep.
Them Necrons got some pretty big assets, if you know what I mean.
Ah.
Ooh.
Before we actually get into the meat of the episode itself, there's a couple things we're going to highlight happening in our community.
Yeah.
Mainly on our Discord. So obviously you can hang out with us on Instagram and Facebook. You can get a hold of us through email as well. We're even on Twitter. But truly the best way to chat with us and hang out is going to be on our Discord.
Oh, yes.
And if you're looking for ways to join us and things to do on our Discord, well, one of them is our Necromunity.
Yeah, we got a guy running an event called Necromunity where basically he's building a whole kind of world, a whole setting where, you know, the whole goal is to build a world. And all of its lore, flesh out its history, flesh out, you know, the hive cities, who occupies the hive cities, all that kind of stuff. And what's really neat about it is it's all community-based, so, like, you know, they're like, this week we're going to work on this region. So then people will just start compiling their information on that region. It's quite cool. It's quite interactive and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's nice to just throw out your idea and then have it join the list of all ideas.
And then it's
that
like
might
somebody
exist.
else's problem. Like, you just got to
Exactly.
unload your ideas and then you can...
Yeah. You can
think
just
again.
creatively splurge all
yeah,
over.
splooge, I think, technically.
However you want to share your creative information, you can do that on this thing. If you want to write a song, if you want to draw a picture,
Yeah.
anything.
You could write the national anthem to that.
Yeah,
live
honestly.
community.
Boom,
Yeah.
done. You gonna do that, James?
It's gonna be like 2 lines repeated 75 times, and it's gonna be something about loving the emperor.
Oh, glorious emperor! And you just say that 30 times.
National anthem.
And then you
Done.
whip yourself for
Yes.
20 minutes. That's part of
Community.
that's part of it.
Yeah, but that's one way you can get involved. Another way is we run monthly contests on our Discord.
Yeah.
Sometimes painting, sometimes short story, sometimes conversion work or kit bashing or whatever. But yeah, we change them every month, and they're open to all of our patrons.
Yeah. So go check out our Patreon, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Get that nice green tag on our Discord so you can flaunt it over the other. We also do community events and hangouts, so we like to schedule, you know, 3 or 4 events every week. So you can go check out our events page, check out times, and try to make it and join us. You know, we play video games, we watch movies. We watched this weird anime racing movie the other day. Weebs.
Don't pretend you're not one of them. I know you both are one of them.
Eric is one of them. The last anime I watched was
Nanu?
Airbender, Last Airbender,
And
it was amazing.
It's really only like 3/4 of an anime
oh
because it's like Western.
Yeah.
okay, so
You know.
okay, nice.
You're-
So
yeah.
I'm like an Ebe then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
At most.
At most,
You know,
okay.
you're safe.
Okay, good.
You're safe from
Good.
the infection that is anime.
Whew. But yeah, go check out a Discord. Lots of cool things are happening on there. Yeah, let's get into the episode.
Yeah, let's talk about the Necron assets
Ass.
and outcasts. Yes. All right, so let's talk about courts and their assets. So Necron dynasties are run by lords with absolute power. Most of the Necron population lives under the umbrella of the dynasties, though there are several other, though much smaller, factions that coexist.
Yeah, for sure.
These range from death marks to flayed ones and Triarch Praetorians. These outside factions still believe in the supremacy of the Necron race and are commonly called or paid to fight alongside the dynasties as they claim back their galactic prize.
Yeah, it's cool. Some of them definitely don't get paid, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, and we even wonder, like, what is paid in Necron, you know?
But however they go about it, there are different cults even that just kind of will tag on with different dynasties and stuff and for mutual benefits. So. So we've talked a bunch about like what's actually in like a court and like dynastic legions. We've talked about like cryptics and stuff. We've talked about basically everything that makes up the dynasty except these kind of last four kind of categories. But let's jump in with Praetorians. They're super cool. So Triarch Praetorians once served the Triarch. 3 members, 1 body that ruled and oversaw the Necron race. The Praetorians ensured that the rulings and proclamations of the Triarch were adhered to by the warring factions within the Necron. This included the Necron codes of their political, cultural, and military theaters. A Praetorian spoke with the will and authority of the Triarch, and were capable of declaring grievous and binding rules against those foolish enough to ignore or disobey the codes. They also served as bodyguards and protectors of the Triarch, ensuring that no single dynasty could use their seat on the Triarch to inappropriately gain power.
Yeah, something interesting about the ancient Triarch, 60 million years ago, was that it could pass, like when a member of the Triarch died, it could pass to a completely different dynasty.
Yeah.
And there's always the danger, when someone enters power that they refuse then to relinquish their seat.
Yeah.
So the Necron to get around this, they said, okay, you can, be a member of the Triarch, but when you are, you don't control, like you're not running your own dynasty now.
Yeah.
Now you're a member of the ruling force. You kind of step down from your place as head of your own dynasty and you serve effectively the Necron people, and the Praetorians are just there to make sure that no abuse of power happens, but also to protect the members of the Triarch.
Yeah, and to protect the members of the Necron race as a whole. Make sure no one's doing anything that's gonna affect everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. They were already a dying race.
Yeah.
On the edge of annihilation for how long, right? So it was important that the Necron did their best to preserve something of themselves, and the Praetorians were a really nice way around that.
Sure. When the biotransference robbed the Necron of their organic forms and the Triarch Council was disbanded and otherwise destroyed, the Praetorians became the de facto herald of the Silent King, the last member of the Triarch. As the Great Sleep began, the tomb worlds all across the galaxy prepared to slumber for millions of years. The Praetorians instead assembled there for their new duty. They would stay awake as punishment for their race's failure in the War of Heaven, ensuring that their culture would not disappear while they slept. Yeah, that's it. That's their goal. They want to make sure that the Necron race carries on. Like it came so close to the brink of just like losing everything that they had with the biotransference, essentially. That these guys are like, no, we're gonna make sure that our way of life, our values, our ethics carry on.
Yeah. And
well, a question then. If they were, because we know that there's some of those like rogue AIs that they had that kind of just went a little crazy over that time.
The master programs?
Yeah, the master programs. Does that mean that like these guys are just completely sane after 60 million years of just hanging out?
Yep.
Yeah, I think like if the master program fails, I think that's more of a malfunction. I don't think that's like a natural progression for them. They seem to have overcome the problem that we have, just things degrade. Like things do degrade, but I think the fact that most come back healthy is just a sign that if it does degrade, it means something went wrong.
Sure. Yeah, something went wrong, but
yeah,
for
60
most
million years
Praetorians-
is a long time.
most
still.
Praetorians just nothing went wrong in 60 million years.
Yeah.
Of course.
Holy smokes.
I think that would be like your normal thing, though. The expectation is that nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
And
There of course would be exceptions where
Of
there have
course.
been ones that fallen and stuff.
yeah, like some eventually go crazy, or they get some kind of infection and they just can't cure it with
or
whatever.
even fall to the destroyer cults or the flayed ones. There's a couple different options like that too that could happen.
Yeah. So bad things can happen for sure, but for the most part, I think they're really succeeding or did a decent job in their duty for the past 6 million years.
They've sure won
60.
you over.
60 million.
Yeah. So some traveled with the Silent King out of our known galaxy, continuing their duty as his protector. Others protected the large monuments and trophies of the Necron race from upstart Xenos. Others would travel to the young races, declaring the Necron as gods and paving the way for the worship by these lesser creatures. Another well-known duty was guiding the awakened Tomb Worlds out of their sleep, updating them on the state of the courts and their duties and obligations toward the Triarch and the Silent King. They have a bunch of different duties. My personal favorite is that they go to the young races and that they talk to them and seed them like with Necron culture and really make them worship them. But I just picture like this Necron god coming down and they're so well beyond anything that any of these lesser races can comprehend, and they're like, yeah, check out this magic that we have, and if you follow us, we can provide you defense against this alien that might be attacking you, or just
Pedro offers his protection.
Exactly. But I just really love that. Yeah, they just go to these lesser races and really try to spread the way of life of the Necron.
I think that I think a part of that is just their most important duty, which is the preservation of the Necron culture. And I think a way they do that is by sharing it with these other races.
Yeah.
And as long as these lesser upstart Xenos races, understand their place
sure.
in Necron society, which is at the bottom, then they're more than happy to welcome them into the dynasty.
Yeah.
So I could sign up. I could be like, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
It's almost
I encourage you to do it, actually.
sounds good.
It's rewarding. It's a fulfilling career.
Are there any
eternal
downsides?
servitude. Yeah, eternal servitude. But
Sure, but everybody offers that.
Yeah. Look, you're either working for the Emperor or you're working for some aliens. Pick who you want to work for.
Tough choice. It's not.
I love the image of a maybe even non-spacefaring primitive race. Imagine even our own technological level, and we have monuments and hieroglyphs and ancient things that we don't understand, and then some metal being comes out of the sky that we cannot kill and can't damage, and it can perform these feats of science that are impossible to us. And then it declares that oh no, these are mine. All these ancient things that you were curious about, we did this.
You've been watching too much Ancient Aliens, Eric.
Well, ancient astronaut theorists believe that it is possible
that the Egyptian pyramids were in fact built by the Necrons.
That's right.
Yeah. I've heard that before. I've seen that episode.
Aliens. But no, I imagine that's kind of what it's like for a lot of the Praetorians that would actually go to other planets. They say, look at these things you have across your planet. I'm here to tell you that you don't need to speculate anymore. There's no more ancient astronaut theorists. There's just me.
Yeah.
And I like that idea that they would appear as gods to these people.
Yeah,
and I think that,
even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're setting themselves up we are immortal and we do deserve to be worshipped.
Yeah.
And you better be careful because we will wake up, right? And we're gonna claim back what's ours anyway.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I like that aspect of it. They're very transient, these Praetorians, constantly traveling and just trying to get the lay of the land for the galaxy.
And they have to be pretty smart too and with it, because I'd imagine too they get to learn the race that they're trying to subjugate or whatever to some degree, maybe not adopt some of their practices but maybe incorporate to some degree.
I think I would more see them pull similarities out of their things and be like, hey, look, you do this, which is close to what we do, so you should go more into that.
Yeah. I don't always see it they're coming down with an army and it's listen here, like you guys are now ours. Like I like to think it is kind of more like, especially with the Praetorians, like this subtle kind of like, maybe 1,000 years ago they built the monuments, and then they come back to like be like, yeah, that was us. Like it's definitely not just showing up, killing half the maybe it is killing half the population, and then
Yeah, I could see either or.
Now you're part of the Necron dynasties. Congratulations.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
The
Praetorians.
population is too high. Snaps his fingers and void blades the planet.
Just a big sword.
Yeah.
Just cuts the planet in half.
Look at the layers.
Yeah. Praetorians, as they exist today, inhabit large, ornate Necron bodies with tails. Their heads have a large orb placed in the forehead that glows with energy, although the purpose of this is unknown, as their heads still have eyes. Another easily identifiable item is their gravity displacement packs, which are mounted on their back but resemble a rib-like structure with 3 energy outputs near their lower back. Yeah, this actually gives them the ability to fly or hover.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is there's no description that I could find of how these packs actually work.
Yeah, like do they fly around like Superman? Is it more like Space Marines where it's a jump pack where it's like a thrust and it launches you? Like,
can they hover and float?
Yeah.
Is it like they're walking on air or whatever? So
yeah. I've been looking through their models and stuff, looking for conversions of them flying, and I still haven't found anything.
Yeah.
But there's a picture of kind of like that rib-like jump pack thing.
Yeah, it extends over the back. It's pretty neat. It's
Yeah.
pretty unique. The crazy thing is that they have tails.
Yeah, why? I don't know.
Yeah, so the question then remains, did they have tails in real life when they were flesh and bone?
We can only assume that if one Necron model had tails, they all must.
I don't know, though.
Maybe they like surgically sewed a tail on to show that they were Praetorians.
Yeah, or maybe everyone else had
Like
to cut their tails off.
It's like a reverse circumcision.
Of course. Necron
Sure,
culture, very cool.
Yeah. If you want to be a part of our group, you got to get the surgery.
Yeah, you got to get the surgery.
You got to get your tail. You got to earn your tail.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
Their most well-known weapon is the Rod of Covenant, a symbol of status and their affiliation with the Triarch. This weapon discharges energy that can be reduced. Wow. This weapon charges Okay. Okay, this energy charges weapons.
You're going to get it
I
eventually.
don't think I will. This weapon discharges energy that can reduce other Necrons to puddles of slag. Though the organic targets, they burst into clouds of flaming ash. Another weapon they may choose to carry is the Void Blade and Particle Caster combination.
So their Rod of Covenant is... The crazy thing is Necron have so many different kinds of staffs.
Sure, yeah.
And they all look so crazy different, but they're all so similar in terms of at least how they function on tabletop.
Sure.
And so I can only assume that, it's kind of how they function in real life. They all just they're pretty much a power weapon.
Yeah.
But they have a small range that they can just pulse energy at people.
Sure.
And there's so many of these different kinds. But theirs is pretty well known, and only Praetorians, I think, wield this Rod of Covenant.
Yeah. Cool. Void Blades are black, double-sided, short blades that sever their victims' molecular bonds. The edges of the Void Blade are extremely difficult to focus on, as they seem to flicker in and out of existence. Particle casters, like all Necron particle weapons, are extremely reliable as they only require a small amount of energy to contain the antimatter particles within. When the weapon is discharged, these particles are emitted and detonate upon impact with other matter. Void Blades are pretty wild. They're monomolecular, perhaps, some would say.
Monomolecular.
The question is, who developed it first? Necron or Eldar?
The real question is if they know the proper time to strike.
I haven't seen here that they do know the perfect time.
I guess
normally
that's an
it
Eldar
is
thing.
clarified, yeah.
That is an Eldar specific trait. So maybe the Void Blades are theirs first. And the Eldar get to know when to use them.
And together they form the
The perfect
being.
weapon for the smoke.
Particle caster's pretty wild as well.
Yeah, antimatter, just
Yeah.
having like, I assume you wouldn't even see like a discharge either, or there wouldn't be like an emission of light or anything. It's just they're shooting antimatter particles, whatever that looks like,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
And then they're just waiting for those antimatter particles to come into contact with matter, and then when matter and antimatter meet, there is only
Love.
impossible. Oh. I was going to say impossible things. Yeah. So then explosions happen.
Yeah.
What does anybody actually know what happens when matter and antimatter? I know the word annihilation is
I
thrown
thought
around.
antimatter
I thought they just
was
cease to
I
exist.
thought antimatter was more of a theoretical.
My understanding is antimatter is the idea that they can't account for all the like gravity. There's more gravity than there should be based on how much matter there is in the universe. So they theorized, and I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I'm not a space doctor.
I don't know anything about shrimp or antimatter. So I'm just throwing.
Send all complaints to jamescomplaints@gmail.com.
When antimatter meets matter, they immediately annihilate into energy. So they just burst.
I always
Science.
thought it was like a theoretical, like we haven't seen antimatter, I thought, but maybe we have. That'd be kind of neat.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say. I don't know.
That's pretty neat. All right.
Pretty deep.
I guess we're pretty close to having Necron weapons.
Yeah,
is what I'm
we're-
hearing.
We're right there. We
It's
know.
coming.
Give us a couple of years.
The Praetorians are proud Necron, fully committed to their task of preserving an ancient way of life. Any Xenos or even Necron, regardless of rank, that attempt to halt or waylay the Praetorian will quickly find themselves destroyed. These beings have been awake for 60 million years, protecting an entire race, waiting for their return as the rulers of the galaxy. One thing we didn't really touch too much on is how the Praetorians go to like tomb worlds, and they're the ones going and waking them up sometimes and making sure that they're safe when they're sleeping and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're
He sees you when you're sleeping.
yeah, they'll watch you from their pocket dimensions.
He'll slag you if you've been bad.
So worship us or die.
There it
Oh
is.
my god, it's a chilling song.
Yeah, the something that is also common is after tomb worlds begin to awake, a host of Praetorians can be like sent to that tomb world to kind of permanently, unlike a weird permanent lending statue or whatever. It's not fully declared, but these Praetorians are responsible for this specific tomb world.
Yeah.
And that is kind of neat too. It's like you have this extra political level above your dynasty.
Yeah,
you
some
know,
outside influence and stuff.
yeah, like you still rule your dynasty and you make the decisions, and all they're trying to do is like, you following the codes today?
Yeah.
Did you say the right codes before you ate breakfast today?
What
Yeah.
are the codes?
Yeah.
We don't write those down.
You should know them.
You should know them.
Yeah. That is an interesting, I think, a cool thing about them is their willingness to be very severe
Yeah.
with their own Necron race that refuse to follow
Sure.
the codes. It's very punishable. And I think that you kind of, if you fail to follow them or you choose to willingly, break them and the
Yeah.
Praetorians find out or whatever, you kind of choose to become a pariah.
Sure, I guess you would.
Yeah, because the Necron all believe in their racial supremacy. They believe that Necron are the owners of the galaxy. I mean, they did it once.
Sure.
And they're all they're doing right now is they're here to get it back.
Yeah.
So they're saying yeah, we're the best, and if one of us fails, they're not worthy or something.
Sure.
Or,
Yeah. Do we have much information on any codes? Do we have any cool examples? These are mostly high thought codes. They're not okay, on the fourth Wednesday of every day, make sure you're they're more ideals to uphold, not so much as day-to-day life, if that makes sense.
So I agree with you for the most part. I think that in their theater of combat, it's much more strictly laid out.
Sure.
One of the things that I think the codes really govern, especially, is Necron on Necron action.
Yeah.
Be protected.
Yeah.
First of all, use protection. No.
Well, yeah, like the goal of
use a face mask.
yeah,
That's what the Canadian government recommends. So.
sometimes two masks.
Sometimes 2. Well, I've heard 3.
Well, the more the better. That's
more the better.
That's how it works. So,
Don't use positions that face each other. That's one too.
wait, are we talking about Necron warfare?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Lots of it definitely is Necron, because the goal of the Praetorians is ultimately to maintain the Necron race. So,
preserve their culture and way of life.
yeah. So when Necron go to war with other Necron and they have all these crazy weapons, and it could be a serious fucking cataclysm all of a sudden.
Yeah, they can unleash stars on each other. You know, you
Yeah.
you can wipe out entire dynasties with a single button.
Yeah.
But for like the Praetorians, that only serves like why would they don't want to see any Necron die because they want all Necron to, you know, own the galaxy.
Yeah.
So I definitely see their codes of conduct, especially between Necron skirmishes, is to ensure that you can have a winner in whatever battle because they don't discourage fighting. They just want to make sure that whatever the outcome is, you know, you're not annihilating your opponent.
Sure.
Because the Necron need to continue.
Yeah. Yeah, like I wonder if they have like how far they're allowed to wage war. It's like Necron on Necron violence. You're only allowed to use gauze weaponry.
Sure.
Or like,
yeah.
you know,
like,
or like
what are the terms of engagement when you get
Yeah.
to the Crown World?
Sure.
Like, are you allowed to unleash your deadly weapons against that planet?
Yeah.
Or like, are you allowed to do it against like outpost planet?
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe the Overlord like challenges you right away, like when you land on his planet. Like, no, if we're not gonna go to war, you're just gonna fight me. And then the Praetorians come. They weigh every option. They're like, yeah, this is the way this war is gonna be settled.
They ensure that like the rules of engagement are kept to whatever the Necron agreed on or whatever. Like it's not clear, but I think we can hypothesize.
Yeah, we do know that there is one code involving death marks, which we'll get to later, that really kind of back this kind of line of thinking up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think they're focused a lot on like the big high end codes and stuff, making sure that.
Yes, I think they're much more concerned with making sure that the culture as a whole and their ideologies are preserved.
Yeah.
And you know, not like it's been 60 million years. How much could have changed
Sure.
without the Praetorians ensuring that their histories were still alive and that their monuments were still alive and that people in the galaxy still knew about them, albeit in some roundabout way.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Tell their stories.
tell them,
Say their names.
and they may one day come to subjugate you.
Oh yay!
Sawtech.
Imhotep.
I wish I knew your dynasty's name.
Nekhebet.
Yeah.
Say their names. And know their stories. All right, so I guess the next thing we want to go over is the destroyer cults.
Yeah.
The loco boys, the crazy half man, half hovercraft, the
half weird spider creature.
the like floaty centaurs. That's what
The thick boys.
the thick. Side note, I really like the one. I think it's like the destroyer lord, who's got like the chonky like hover things underneath him. He just looks so thick.
That's
I love
all
that.
the new locust models.
I
have
love
that.
them.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's coming in at you. You know, he's got a look in his eye. You don't want to.
I always wonder if those, because they look like 3 little propulsion engines on each side, right?
Well, just the
Do
old
they
ones look so
operate-
much less cool.
Do they
than
operate
guys.
independently of each other? You know, they're like whoop 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 as they're going forward. Yeah. What sound do they make? It sounds like death.
Look
I
at that
assume.
guy. He's just.
He's thick.
He's so big.
Yeah.
I like big things, obviously.
That guy's definitely has the biggest gun to body ratio. For sure.
It's longer than his entire body.
You see, like I've got a very small Necron collection, but I'm gonna start like peeking out the ones I like the best, and that guy, he's gonna be in there.
You're gonna start buying individual pieces that you like?
Yeah, just the ones I like the.
Well, I thought I did Necron, but okay.
Oh, I didn't realize we had like a rule about that.
I haven't
It's
seen
the
back of it.
codes.
The
Yeah.
back's very strange.
It is. It doesn't look like
Do you
what
have
you
one of
would
those?
think it is. No, I
Yeah.
don't. I don't have any of the new stuff of which let's
You
talk
have-
about that later.
You have the. I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
So
Destroyer cults.
a Necron Destroyer is a deranged agent of annihilation whose sole reason for existence is centered around an unshakable yearning to quench the flames of life. A Destroyer cares not for borders or dynastic allegiance, nor does he make any distinction between the innocent and the damned. All life is his enemy, and all living creatures are his prey.
Yeah, they really take it to the extreme. Like, they want to destroy everything. When they go to a planet, they scourge it of even like small microscopic life. Yeah, they scourge it all. Nothing remains.
You have to maybe wonder if a planet that a destroyer cult gets to and finishes with, is that the same looking planet as what a Tyranid would do? Because Tyranids consume all biomass.
Yeah.
And then Necron would destroy all life.
I would imagine it'd be very similar. There'd be a couple key differences, like the Necron would leave the water where the Tyranids take it.
What if there's organisms living in the water?
Yeah, but you could just like destroy the water, like make it toxic or whatever. What are they going to do with all the water is what I'm saying.
Burn it.
Maybe they do. Maybe they literally do.
Yeah.
Water itself is not living, though.
But is it wet?
Yes.
Water is the essence of wetness.
But is it itself wet?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Ben Stiller.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a water doctor.
No.
I'm not a water cyst.
Are you a hydro homie, though? Or
Yes.
okay, good.
I like water.
Okay, good.
Water is my homie. To this end, destroyers regularly engage in modifications to their bodies. The end of destroying life,
right?
Just to be clear. Some other Necron might find this to be self-mutilation, but there are many upgrades that can be done to a Necron's body, such as replacing arms with weapons or legs with hover jets. But the result is always the same: a single-minded killing machine that will not cease until all life in the galaxy is eliminated.
Yeah.
Eliminated.
Yeah.
They might look different, but they have the same goal. They're just going about it in different ways.
Yeah.
Well, would they consider Necron to be life? It is only organic
That's
life?
an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that they don't consider Necron to be life.
Yeah. I could maybe see that eventually if everything else was scourged in the galaxy and there's nothing left to kill, that maybe the destroyers would then turn on their Necron allies. But yeah. They don't seem to be much of a threat to Necron currently.
Yes, there are other Necron threats that we'll see later.
Sure.
But yeah, the destroyer cults, they seem to have found some kind of mutually beneficial existence with the Necron.
Sure.
So.
It's also really cool, like the Necrons see like these destroyers as they like change their body as like mutilation, and like they're really like looked upon as like, what the heck are they doing now?
Yeah,
to
they're
themselves?
crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
like they.
Some might say that in the next line, many Necron look down
Oh.
or even shun the insane destroyers, because that's what they are, insane Necron. Not all Necrons that woke up from the Great Sleep awoke as intended. Time erodes all things except for Praetorians, apparently.
That's right.
Yeah. So these guys are just kind of like a little bit loony.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's described as their engrammic pathways and their synapses get affected by the ravages of time.
Except for Praetorians, of course.
So here's what I like to think. So all the Necron are shut down when they're sleeping. That's when time can affect them. But if you're on, then you're
sure.
It's like when you haven't turned your computer on for 60 million years and you got like 40,000 updates on it.
Sure. That's how it works.
But if your computer's
That's
always
exactly
on and
how it
updating, it's fine. It's easy.
I think obviously there is some failure in the Praetorians, but also I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some are just built better than others.
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like the Praetorians are pretty high up there in the Necron hierarchy. Like maybe there's a much smaller chance of them having any kind of malfunctions or erosions or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Instead
because
of
they're
using
better.
like silver wire, they use gold wiring. They're so much more conductive.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Those boys.
Yeah.
Well, Let me just see. I disagree because I think that makes it just, I don't know, that just seems a little convenient.
It's
It
very
is very
convenient.
convenient.
Yep.
But,
Welcome to 40K.
The more you know.
I like to think that they just maybe the Praetorians do have a failure rate just as much, but they keep it secret somehow. So
Entirely
it
possible.
would it would
Now I want to do a Necron Praetorian kill team.
it would affect
fallen.
their like image if it got out that they were. That's my headcanon. So some of these Necrons awoke from their long slumber with their physical form intact, but their psyche torn beyond recovery. Angered and despairing their soulless existence, these Necrons turned to nihilism and the destruction of all life.
That's nice.
The idea of a nihilistic Necron, or even
What's the
Necron
point?
that can
What's
choose
the
some
point?
kind of like philosophy or
am I
ideology.
here?
Yeah, it
Is
seems
there a God?
interesting. Like,
Why does he hate me?
what is my purpose?
You cut the butter.
Oh my God.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so destroyers can be found on almost every tomb world, which, as we know, is every world.
Every world is a tomb world if you look hard enough.
So from the fringe worlds to the noblest of Necron Dynasty crown worlds, this suggests that the descent into this particular form of madness is driven by a subconscious imperative, possibly one implanted by the Satan during the biotransference process millions of Terran years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's
so
an-
there has to be some commonality between them all.
Exactly. Yeah. There's something rooted in their programming,
code, yeah.
their code that kind of lends them to this specific philosophy, because you don't hear about Necron who become pacifists.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, you don't hear about Necrons who instantly are like, no, I like the greater good, and I like that altruistic
Sure.
lifestyle.
That would be hilarious if some like Necrons were just like hanging out with the tower, like, yeah, we like these guys now, and they're just giving them the technology.
The tower would instantly be better.
Wow.
But
Necrodermis battle suits. Perfect.
ooh,
Okay.
actual warp drive like speed
Oh no,
capabilities.
we don't want that. We don't want that.
Oh,
We want the Tau to be in a small, tiny portion of the galaxy
where
they're
one
safe.
single bomb can destroy them all.
Where one single warp storm could kill the entire race.
That's what we want.
Yeah, but I think it is important to note that it must be somewhere in their original programming, this
Sure.
desire to destroy.
Yeah.
And it could just be that all Necron do have a desire to destroy, and this is just like compounding, bringing it to the front, making it much more strong in their urges to do or whatever. So
Yeah.
Mama Necron, I have these urges, and I don't understand them. It's okay, young boy. We all go through
The
this.
change.
But don't start hanging out with those
destroyers, yeah,
with their mohawks and their piercings.
they're bad news.
They're bad news. I don't like them. So, even though these destroyers are found on almost every tomb world, that doesn't mean that they hail from every level of Necron society. It takes some sort of level of personality or freedom to embrace the nihilism and such cold-blooded determination. So a level of individuality that is denied to lower-ranking Necrons is something that, almost without exception, these destroyers need to come from like the Lich Guard or Immortals. So
Yeah.
you need to have that kind of like personality.
Yeah, the warriors are pretty much drones at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, but like Necron lords have the potential to fall to the destroyer virus. Praetorians, I would imagine too. Like, maybe not as much, but yeah.
Yeah, I also think that a significantly strong enough will must help you to avoid it. Like, Praetorians are so sure of their duty and so confident in like their purpose.
Yeah.
That I
Or they have plot armor.
Before-
that helps too.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's rude. Before I actually get into that, I want to talk just really quickly, is that it sounds to me like there's kind of two ways that you can join the destroyer cults.
Okay.
And one seems to be through a malfunction during especially your great sleep, but I think it could happen at any time.
Sure.
Something that actually forces your your code to change, whatever. You're having an actual problem, and now you're a destroyer.
Yeah, maybe there's a power surge somewhere, and now it.
Yeah, your brain is incapable of doing anything other than destroy.
Yeah.
And then it seems like the other one is this, like, descent into nihilism, almost like a conscious choice to follow this.
Yeah.
And it's possible that the two are related, but I also think I could see it happen separately.
Sure.
And I think that's a pretty big distinction to make, is that some might have chosen the destroyer life, and some...
I didn't choose to destroy life. It chose me.
Yeah, but and then I think others are forced into it through these malfunctions. So Praetorians, let's say you look at both ways. Can they malfunction and join the destroyer virus? Sure, I could definitely see that happening. Could a Praetorian choose to embrace the nihilism?
Yeah.
I think I could also see it happening, but I also think that it's harder for them to...
Oh, yeah. That is definitely the exception.
Yeah,
Praetorian
because I think they're just so dedicated to what they're doing. Like, there's no room for that ideology in their preservation of Necron culture. So.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of cool too. Like, lots of them are said to have been created during the original biotransference and stuff, and like what would have caused that and why. And a lot of these Necron have been around and fighting the old ones, being involved in this great galactic war for generations, right? It's possible that some of them just went mad. Like, literally during that time they went mad.
Yeah, when they were flesh and bone.
When they were flesh and blood. Yeah. And then they've been fighting and purging the galaxy themselves as flesh and blood.
How much death have they seen? How much destruction, like this senseless violence, and now all of a sudden you're given an immortal body?
Yeah, so during the biotransference, then you're like, boom, like, let's really go. And I was powerful before, check me out now. Boom, robot gun arm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if your brain, if you've taken some kind of damage to, like, your mental state, through whatever warfare or, like, a PTSD, whatever that would be for the Necron-tur, and you have those things, and trying to transfer that into the Necron body, like, what if it just, it just doesn't transfer properly?
Yeah.
You're almost fated at that point to have malfunctions.
Yeah. Your code was already corrupted before it became code. Like, there's no hope. But,
That's a one more way to look at it, too,
Sure.
Yeah, so, like, it seems like there's some value that Necron armies can glean from these destroyers. They have their efficiency is like more than a compensation for their insubordination or the way that they treat Necrons in other ranks. So despite the fact that they're kind of like, you don't want them around, they're still valuable to its stuff, because they just purge really well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to, I don't like them around, but they are still Necron.
Yeah.
And they're not, a fleshy, soft race. They are still Necron.
Yeah.
And so we definitely like them more than non-Necron.
It's like, oh, yeah, he's still my uncle, so I guess we won't just dump him at the home.
Yeah.
Family dinners would be weird with the destroyer around.
Destroy. No, that's dinner.
There's nothing living
Destroy.
here.
Yeah, so most destroyers are banished to the outskirts of their tomb world, dwelling in isolated fortresses ruled over by courts of destroyer lords.
Yeah.
So what do they do over there? Just like zip around their base, like
blowing up shit. Yeah.
Destroy.
Okay, do you remember Dark Knight Rises?
Yes.
When Scarecrow is holding his court, and it's like that weird chaos court that makes no sense. That's kind of how I see these destroyer courts. Just courts run by insane people
doing insane things.
Yeah. Like,
you are sentenced to destroy.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like all the destroyers are like lined up, and there's the destroyer
They're
lord.
just like in a line, and you go to the front of the line.
He has a vial with like some microscopic organism in it, and he's like, "We're gonna destroy you, and guilty of life, guilty." And they all just aim their weapons at this tiny little thing. Yeah, they all just
this cute little rabbit that they found.
Don't like that. But yeah,
that's flesh.
I honestly see it just being like this insane kind
Yeah.
of like caricature of a regular court.
Sure.
Yeah. It's like a bizarro world.
Yeah. I like it.
So the one main psychological difference that these guys have from the rest of their race is that they have no desire to go back to living as flesh and blood.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Yes, because
How do I destroy? I am organic.
I must destroy myself.
No.
I was alive the whole time.
Guilty of life.
In the mirror, guilty.
Guilty.
Yeah. And obviously not all Necron want to reverse the biotransference, but you'll never find a destroyer that wants to.
What do you think if you were to put like a bet down? Do more Necron want to return, or are more Necron okay?
I could see it as just like a pretty equal split.
Sure. Maybe more people would want to stay Necron just because there's so many warriors that don't have a choice in the matter.
Maybe.
Like,
I think a lot of them actually approve of the fact that they are now immortal. Like, do you really want to go back to your weak body that was riddled by cancer? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that really worth it?
No.
I don't know. To some people, I think it is. And to others, they're like, no. Like, I'm going to rule the galaxy literally forever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so there definitely hasn't been like a valid statement either way. I know like with the Return of the Silent King, there was a huge push for like the return to the organic, but
and the only place I found that talked about him wanting to do that was on a stupid Warhammer community post.
oh, I love those
online.
They're classic.
They're so
It's canon.
They're so well written.
Oh
yeah,
my!
no.
I felt like I wanted to claw my eyeballs out while reading this post, but yeah, I saw one mention of his desire to protect life from the Tyranids. Whether or not that's his true focus, I don't know. But at that point, I definitely see the Destroyers at some point would become an enemy of those Necron who wish to return back.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they turn back to their own flesh and blood, the Destroyers would instantly try and destroy them.
Yeah.
So.
That's nice.
Destroy.
So let's talk about a couple of the different kinds of destroyers.
Yeah, there's many different ways to modify your body into the perfect killing machine.
Infinite, some might say.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first thing we're going to talk about are destroyer lords. So even the Necron nobility are not safe from the nihilistic madness that consumes the destroyers. When a Necron lord or overlord succumbs, a great threat to all life is born. While many Necron lords and overlords are afflicted by eccentricities, the insanity that consumes the mind of a destroyer lord is something else entirely. Yeah, I think there's something to be said that a destroyer lord isn't just or a destroyer virus isn't just quirks.
Sure.
It's an overtake of your mind.
Yeah. And something that you can't fight against necessarily.
and
Where your quirk, you might be able, well, maybe I don't do that this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I also think that you can rationalize, you're right, you can rationalize your way around those things or have people advise you and tell you that, no, maybe don't do this. But a destroyer, you're just overtaken.
Yeah.
And you have no choice. You just want to destroy. So
yeah.
These destroyer lords have been stripped of any compassion and nobility, existing only to kill the living. The desire to kill has long since eclipsed the reasons why, and they are driven ever onwards by their insanity.
That's nice.
Not nice for us, Mark. We're living.
I'm just happy that people out there find purpose, you know? It's good.
Mark is the 40K therapist, and a destroyer pops into, Mark's office, and he's like, I just like to destroy. And Mark's like, but does it make you happy?
Yes. Yes.
You know what?
I do not feel happy. I just destroy. I destroy my happiness.
I destroy my happiness.
I am sad.
Wow, that got way too heavy for me. I can't.
So what's your relationship with your mother? I destroy.
No.
And how are your friends? Destroyed.
No.
Destroyer lords are so heavily modified that even the mightiest overlords have a respect, quote unquote, and fear of these unstoppable killing machines.
Yeah.
The fear is an interesting thing here that these destroyer lords have abandoned kind of like a little bit of their pride as a Necron. I think that's something that stops a lot of modifying of the Necron, is that this is our body, this is our representation. Why fiddle with perfection?
Yeah, because like when they designed that body, they would have designed it perfectly, exactly how they would have wanted it.
Yes, there's no reason for them to make improvements upon it. Like there's literally not literally. Maybe there's not anything that the Necron can't do. Their science is able to overcome all barriers, so they would have known this is like the perfect form that we want to like represent or whatever. So I think the Necron lords that view these people modifying are kind of viewed as like a blasphemy. I could see that, like against the Necron form, and that's like a weird fear thing. Like, oh my god, like if I get infected by this destroyer virus, am I also going to abandon, my pride as a Necron? And yeah. But I like that respect and fear.
Yeah. They're definitely valued as destroyers, for sure.
There have been many different forms of destroyer lords, and each lord can have a unique set of modifications, although there have been enough sightings of particular types for the Imperium to form specific categories.
Yeah.
They love to do that.
Yeah.
Even if no destroyer lord is the same, the Imperium is just be like, all right, floaty body, check. 3 legs, check.
Surprisingly, the Imperium wasn't super racist with this one either. Like with the Tau, they're like, yeah, look at these fish people. The Tau, like, we have hooves.
And hands.
Like, we don't even have gills.
Yeah, we don't breathe. Literally none of us breathe underwater.
But at least the Necron weren't treated with such a slight. That's nice. The Imperium was kind to them. But yeah, if you want to look at some very cool fucking dope pictures,
there's some really cool conversions.
Yeah, go to Patreon and subscribe for $1. Then you can see our video. But I'm pulling up I just googled Necron Destroyer Lords, and there's some wild like concepts of just how extreme the destroyer virus can go. This one makes me want to live and be better. It makes
yeah, sure.
This one makes me want to be a better Warhammer. This picture,
right? Yeah, that it's like a spider body. It's very much reminds me of Darth Maul after after he's like stuck on that trash planet or whatever. For however long he is, and he gets insane, and he gets that spider body.
Yeah, like that spider body is a tomb spider's body, right?
The legs,
maybe the old.
Yeah, I'm not actually too certain about it. I never have bought a Necron spider.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have the entire line yet. Weak sauce.
Sad.
I'm coming up to close to having my entire line. Where's yours, dude?
You started when you could buy like 3 things, James. Okay, back off.
Man.
Also, I had less time.
Look at that crazy thing.
Yeah, there's some really, really cool destroyer.
How long would it take to paint that?
all
of it.
Still
all of the time.
Painting it.
This is just concept art of what he hopes to accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a real destroyer lord. Someone took a picture of it.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's go to the next type of destroyer, the Locust. Locust destroyers are Necron fused to floating chassis, which serve as mobile heavy weapons platforms. They ruthlessly adapt, augment, and expunge any facet of their physical form in order to better their combat capacity. Even the destroyer sensors are reconfigured to better serve target lock and prediction capabilities. Combining their mobility with death-dealing weapons, there is nothing safe from the hail of firepower they rain down upon their foes.
I like that there are these distinctions within the destroyers for, it seems like, preferences on how you want to destroy all life.
Sure.
Like this guy, these Locust destroyers, they don't have a desire to get up close and swing their blades and crush their victims. They just care about overwhelming annihilation through firepower.
Yeah.
And I like that you can, with this like more newer line that Games Workshop is doing, it lends itself to that the destroyer virus doesn't affect everyone the same.
Yeah. There are different things. There's like even stealth destroyers. Locust destroyers are equipped with a variety of weapons, but most either have like a Gauss cannon, Gauss destructors, or enigmatic exterminators. Gauss technology, we know what that is. It just kind of
strips you down molecule by molecule.
Yeah. Where enmatic exterminators cause the victim's atoms to violently repel from one another. So that's pretty neat. You just picture like this, like, poof, and now it's mist.
Yeah. It just puts all your atoms to just repel each other, and now you're gone.
You're gone. You're just a little like fart sound, like poof.
That's what it sounds like.
Enmatic exterminators.
Enjoy
I like it. So Skorpekh destroyers. So these guys favor overwhelming close quarters violence to slaughter their victims.
Yeah.
I have some of these. They're an excellent model. They look cool.
They're so sweet.
They have these giant blades, swinging them around. I love them. So though ungainly off the battlefield, in combat, their tripod bodies allow them to pass through enemy lines effectively. So 2 additional arms are added, and the resulting slashing weapons are nigh impossible to evade or parry.
And they just add so much more power behind each swing.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, they got like the 3 different legs on like a little tripod and skitter around. They're so cool.
But yeah,
I'm not sure how 3 legs works as moving.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's a weird locomotion.
You'd have to kind of like gallop in order to move. I don't.
I'm not a foot doctor or a leg doctor.
Wait,
you're not?
Well, I've been giving medical advice for years.
I told you I was for sure, but I'm definitely not.
You keep all those prostate exams, Eric.
Well, I'm your, prostate doctor, but no one else's. I'm not technically legally allowed to do it, so yeah.
That's nice.
So the Skorpekh destroyer's weapons of choice are a pair of hyperphase reap blades or hyperphase threshers,
which is effectively just the same weapon. One is just bigger than another.
Yeah.
But they're just these massive blades coursing, with Necron energy.
Yeah.
However that works.
And they're damn near impossible to paint.
I was literally just about to say they are impossible
to
paint. Anyone who can do that, you're
as the
impressive.
game shop.
Yeah, how they do it with that crazy blending.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, thank you.
Look at this destroyer.
Mine are just monocolor.
Yeah, I've painted and repainted blades, those blades, so many times because I just can't get it to something that I'm happy with.
It's tough, but
I'm tempted to now just do like a mono.
The fade is hard.
Monomolecular blade?
Monomolecular.
Really paint every molecule are you gonna do?
Let's talk about the Hexmark destroyer. So most Hexmark destroyers were once death marks, but as with all destroyers, the need to destroy is all-encompassing, and so the body modifications begin. Adding another 4 arms for a total of 6, Hexmarks use the destroyer's corrupted engrams to aid them in targeting and dispatching nearby enemies in a hail of enmitic disintegrator pistol fire. 6 pistols at once, to be exact.
That's sweet. Yeah, and it's got, like, on its head, it's got 7 different eyes, like, 1 for each pistol and 1 just for, I don't know, checking out how cool he looks.
You can see kind of, like, in that head. So death marks only have a single eye.
Okay.
And it's whether that's like a status thing or it's the fact that they only need 1 eye because they're so, amazing. But you can see in the Hexmark face that center eye maybe has shrunk down into that small one, and 6 new eyes have appeared on its face. And I can only assume that each of those eyes maybe corresponds to a different pistol.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they're picking all their targets with 6, these different eyes.
Yeah, I really like that model.
Yeah, it's one of the best ones.
It's cool.
Yeah,
it looks amazing.
Yeah, I don't have it yet, but it's up there.
You let me down, Eric.
He doesn't have the full line yet, Mark.
It doesn't even have half of the line.
Oh,
and don't even get me started on the paint.
Please don't get him started on the paint.
Oh, but yeah, no, it's sweet. He's got this like huge orb on his back, and then there's a bunch of tubes coming off of this orb that goes to each pistol.
Yeah, it looks like a power station.
Yeah.
Like that's either it's making power there or it's storing power there. But so the cool thing about Hexmarks is that because they're that's cool art. Because they come from death marks.
Yeah.
they can use the pocket dimensions.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get into that more when we talk about death marks, exactly. So I don't want to ruin it, but that is a very cool thing about Hexmark destroyers and makes them even more crazy than regular destroyers.
Yeah, pocket dimensions are neat. So up next, we got the Ophidian destroyer.
This is the last one that we have, and James is going to take care of it.
Oh, heck yes, I am. So another form of destroyer, the Ophidian destroyer, enacts war very differently than the other destroyers, preferring to stealthily eliminate its prey. So their legs are removed and replaced with a lithe tail. Lithe tail. Ooh, I think that's misspelled.
Lithe with an E on the end? Oh.
There you go. Which it uses to slither upright in an almost floating posture. 2 extra arms are added and fitted with additional weapons, the hyperphase reap blades and the hyperphase threshers, and Ophidian claws.
The Ophidian claws look very much like Flayed one stuff.
Yeah, they're just 2 long talons, essentially. 2 long talon fingers.
Oh, these are good too.
Good.
All the new destroyer stuff is all excellent looking.
Every new Necron model is awesome. I think there's only one that was like subpar.
Say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Silent King.
Boom. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we're all on the same page, thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
James, we're going to say it at the same time.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Silent King. Okay.
Thank you, James.
I actually I can see why. I can see why you feel that way. It's just a little bit less imposing than I suppose. I don't know, this like procession-y thing doesn't really seem. I get it.
I was confident before it came out that I wasn't going to be impressed. And after actually looking at it,
You pat yourself on the back. You said, Eric, good man. I can trust you. I'm not happy with this.
Yeah.
Your hastily judgment of a model that hasn't even been seen yet
That's
is
right.
true. Okay.
I get it. Like it just doesn't have that look. That
it doesn't have the weight of the leader of a race that's literally owned the galaxy at one point and are back to do it again.
It should look more absurd, and it doesn't look absurd enough. Yeah,
I agree.
I get it. Anyway, back to the Ophidian destroyer. So they tunnel through solid substances with flickers of dimensional displacement. They burst from their own pocket dimensions into view to ambush, hack, and rend their prey apart.
Yeah, more pocket dimensions, and also, what do they call it?
Phase tunneling, phase technology. Yeah. So you can kind of see, like, what is it called when you take something from somewhere and apply it to a new thing?
Mashup.
It's less of a mashup. You can see where they got like inspiration. So they're very old school Wraith-like. Now, if you haven't been in the hobby for very long, you might only know the new Necron Wraiths that are these canoptic creations. But the old Necron Wraiths were effectively just these Necron torsos with long tails. And we do have a picture of it up here. And so you can see where they're kind of getting this new Ophidian destroyer model look from.
Sure.
And I do like it. I actually really liked the old Wraith models. They actually looked pretty terrifying. There's some crazy artwork out there of just these like long, tall Necron, like, you know, posing in very imposing over top of people, like with these massive claws ready to just, flay people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at that one. Yeah, look at these.
Look at all these little
little artworks. Yeah, like that's pretty terrifying.
Oh, yeah, this is the one I think of, the one they're fighting the Black Templar.
Oh,
and you
yes.
can just see them wrapped around, and that one's sweet.
Yeah, but they can phase these Ophidian ones, which effectively means they can just go through solid rock.
Yeah.
Or, matter. You know, they turn themselves into some weird... They enter some weird kind of dimension or whatever, which allows them to just travel through space however they want.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so their appearance is repugnant to other Necrons, echoing elements of both the servile canoptic wraiths and reviled flayed ones.
Yeah, you definitely see the resemblance with the flayed ones, with the claws and with the tail and phasing abilities with the canoptic wraiths. Yeah.
They're very cool, though. Yeah, but this is a good example of how, like, the Destroyer can really take you somewhere different. Like, these guys, they want to actually stealthily kill you to some degree.
Exactly. Everyone, even though they're all Destroyers and they all want to end life, they do it very differently.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. I'm so happy now that we have all these different types of destroyers. We've talked about it even in previous episodes before these came out.
Yeah, years ago.
Years. And
Yeah.
So I'm so happy. They did such a good job with the whole new model line.
Yeah, the new Necrons are incredible.
It's not often that I give like pretty 100% praise to Games Workshop, but all the new cryptex coming out with all their
They're all
different
very
like
cool.
sciences,
The chronomancers.
yeah, chrono, psycho, plasma, like so many, and then all these destroyers as well. It's very well done.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what we have on destroyers. Up next, the next Outcast we're going to be talking about is the Flayed ones.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, you can take death marks then.
Okay.
Flayed ones. A living nightmare, and the embodiment of horror and inescapable terror. Flayed ones are Necron that have been infected by the Flayer virus. They have been twisted from their original wait, wasn't that just red picture?
Yeah. Life's fun.
Okay, I was having a colorblind moment. Okay. Flayed ones have been twisted from their original forms, the virus reshaping their physical body even as it corrupts and ruins their mind.
Ooh.
So during the war in heaven, some 60 million years ago, the Catan were beings of immeasurable, indescribable, reality-shattering power. Before their betrayal by the Necron, they were gods. There were many different Catan, all with individual personalities, preferences, and even physical attributes and characteristics.
Yeah, a great episode. Go check out like the Necron Satan episode. Really learn more about like how much power these things actually had. Like literally reality altering power.
Yeah, and one of the craziest things is there's no warp.
Yeah.
So their power is like safe, and like they can reproduce it with no ill effects every time.
Yeah.
They can break the laws of physics to just do things that were otherwise an impossibility.
Yeah.
And again, no warp.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Very wild.
One such Catan was Landu Gor. Also called the Flayer, he was the only Catan that we know of to be completely destroyed. All other Catan have been shattered. You know, their shards scattered to the corners of the galaxy. Killed at the hands of the Maynarch dynasty, the Flayer would curse the Necron in his final moments. He somehow... Do you want to find the quote?
Oh, yeah, okay.
He somehow created a virus that affects the inner workings of the Necron, imparting in them his hunger and desire for flesh, gore, and blood.
Okay.
That's an ass.
That's a nice ad.
Right there.
So, oh yeah, that's like a conversion work. Is that by the War Singer? No.
I have no idea. It's gross, but kind of cool.
There's a lot of crazy things.
Yeah, Landu Gor is a very well-known Catan, right up there with Void Dragon, Nightbringer, and Deceiver, especially because of this Flayer virus thing. So it's pretty neat to see people talk about him.
Yeah. I got that quote.
Nice.
Through technology... Oh, nope, is this the one we wanted? No. Carry on, Eric.
I can find it
Okay.
pretty fast.
Okay.
Landu Gor. Lexicanum.
Ooh. New Necron Flayer models came out too. That's another new thing. It seems like they're still coming out with new Necron stuff. It's crazy.
Well, there's even still things.
And they're good. They're good well, there's mixed feelings about them. But.
Sure. I mean, it's not like their rules are new.
Well, no, I just mean the models.
How do you feel about them? I personally like them.
I think they look great, but they're spindly. I would break all of them.
I have
surprised
already
you-
broken
Yeah,
some.
I'm sure I could almost guarantee I would not be able to get those out of the sprue without snapping the claws.
I've been pretty good about that, but definitely. I thought I was. Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay. This is attributed to Landu Gor the Flayer. To those who have denied us, to those who have denied me, I will wreak vengeance. I will wrench your souls and break your bones. I will cast hunger through your accursed existence. Down the eons, you will not forget. I will grant you this gift from love turned aside and make you like me. Break you in my image as you have broken me. I shall cast the fear of myself into you and all of your kind. I am Landu Gore. I am the hunger. I am the flayer. And from this moment, you shall be too.
Very cool.
So we can only assume that's his, dying words.
His dying paragraph, yeah.
Yeah, as he was.
As I lay dying here, let me...
Everyone's like, get on with it.
Curse us already, come on.
Once created, this flare virus spread throughout the Necron race, and it quickly became regarded with loathing, and the Necron destroyed anyone infected on contact. Unfortunately, the Flayed ones seem to have an affinity with pocket dimensions and their workings, so some always manage to escape and spread their virus elsewhere. And all it takes is one. Yeah. All it takes is one Flayed one just escaping and being able to infect someone else.
Yeah, so they're hunted down with like much prejudice.
Oh, absolutely. They are considered a threat
Yeah.
to the Necron dynasty.
Yeah.
It's one of the interesting things is that the only thing that the Necron really feel of a threat are other Necron.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Like, this would be terrifying.
There's no coming back from the flare virus, and if that thing infects your ranks and all of a sudden your dynasty falls to the flare virus, you have nothing left. You're the overlord of nothing.
Yeah, and triple masking does not protect you from the flare virus.
No,
Oh my
no,
God.
no.
What about positions that don't face each other?
Even that doesn't protect you. As far as
Okay.
I know, there's no protection against this.
We'll have to contact the Canadian government. Ask them if they have
Look,
some
you need to change update your policies.
Yeah,
Flare virus is
risk
coming.
of the flare virus here.
Now, 60 million years later, the flare virus still exists, and it's spreading its infection throughout the Necron whenever it can. And while the Flayed ones are thought of as primitive savages at the whims of their insatiable thirst for blood, they have been observed to be patient stalkers, watching from their pocket dimensions for the opportune moment to ambush their prey and slice the flesh of their bones.
Did you guys read that short story that was coming out like when the Necron stuff was first being released?
No.
Possibly?
It was that the idea was that there was like this guard regiment on a ship, and it was like right when Praetorian Nexus kind of story was being dropped, and the idea was that this guard regiment was on this ship, and one of their crew got killed and went missing, and they didn't know where she went, and it just happened to be this guy's sister, and so they're searching, trying to get back to the ship. Something is chasing him, they don't know what, and then he hears his sister's voice come from like a shadow, and he like goes over to see it, and it's just this Flayed one with his sister's body like draped over
I
him.
love that.
And
the mimicry?
Yeah, he somehow, this Flayed one somehow was able to emulate her voice and know that they were related and like lure him into a trap and then kill him.
love it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was a pretty cool story. I'm sorry, I basically spoiled it for it.
It's
the
very
finish for
horror,
you, but
you know?
if you wanted to read that story, it came out like almost a year ago. So
Yeah, that's no spoilers.
It's so cool. Like they're described as like these primitive savages, and like the thirst for blood is inescapable for them. But yet they're still like intelligent. They might do ambushes, or they do that thing where they have the ability to mimic other people's voices.
Yeah, the idea that they can make a rational enough decision and say, look, I can either attack now and try and satisfy my thirst for blood, or I can wait patiently and sacrifice something now to gain something even greater later.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting thought process, because it for me, it tells me that they're not actually at the whims of this base instinct, as I think the Necron would have you believe.
So maybe it's just like Necron propaganda. These guys are really just, you know what? We're just alternative lifestyle Necrons, and we're being persecuted by the conventional wisdom.
I definitely could see that. I could see the Necron being like, look, you need to destroy these Necron Flayed ones, because if you do, you'll be out of control. You'll have no control over anything you do. All you'll want to do is
That's
get
just
this
the
thirst for blood.
system, man. There's a different way to live life. You can flay your enemies and wear their skin. It's an okay choice.
Yeah. But yeah, very, very cool.
Since anyone can like fall to the flare virus too, like this whole kind of higher level thinking might be because like might be from a lord when they fell, not necessarily a warrior is putting this much thought into every kill that he makes. But,
Entirely possible. Yeah, it could depend on what your previous level of intelligence was.
Yeah, that was a Praetorian.
Ooh. I mean, there definitely would be Praetorians that fall to the Flare virus. There's no protection against it, right? So
that would be interesting if you made like a dynasty that was just a Flayed dynasty, and you're like,
Ooh,
yeah, we are actually not as stupid as they think we are. But
so an idea that Mark gave me a long time ago was back when there were no Flayed 1 models other than the recast. It was absolute trash to get them. It was crazy. But Mark's like, why don't you just take a bunch of your regular models, like mess up their bodies so they look different, and then drape flesh on them. So you have Lich Guard that are Flayed ones, and you have Praetorians that are Flayed ones. Because all Necron would go to it, right? So
yeah, and you have like this weird hodgepodge Flayer squad.
Yeah,
with a bunch of different aspects in it. It'd be so cool.
That would be very cool. But they're all Flayed ones.
Yeah.
But they're all different models.
Yeah.
You know, and they all look different. Flayed ones, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. The virus does more than destroy their minds. It twists their bodies, reshaping them as misshapen and hunched figures. They have long claws, perfect for flensing and stripping their victims. Their metal bodies are covered in flesh and gore, skin stretched tight across them, heads draped with their victims' screaming faces. They are constantly seeking to satisfy their insatiable hunger for flesh, their unquenchable thirst for blood. There is no immunity to the virus. No rank can save you. No position grants invulnerability. The mightiest Pharaon and lowest warrior are all at risk of infection. And this is most likely why the Necron will treat the Flayed ones with such discrimination.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, they don't really care about Necron plagues or Death Guard plagues.
Yeah.
Or like diseases from a swamp or bog or whatever. They can exist.
The ravages of time doesn't matter.
Exactly. But this is one of the few things that there's no coming back from once you get it. Flayed ones are attracted to bloodshed, and with their use of pocket dimensions, they seem to appear from nowhere to create a bloody feeding frenzy. Though their travel paths are impossible to discern, they seem to stay close to areas where blood is commonly spilled, trailing along armies, following Necron dynasties. There was a short story that I did read about a Flayed one where there was a human settlement, and every once in a while, like maybe like 2 generations ago or something, Necron Flayed ones appear.
Sure.
And they don't happen all the time, but it's like a horror story like told down.
Yeah.
And then they just appeared in this one story of these creatures in the nighttime that just appear out of nowhere, and this girl watches her brother like get ripped in half and watches this Necron literally try and chew through these organs, but it can't swallow, so it's just this like gory mess that this Necron was shoving in its mouth, and
oof.
Yeah. That sounds pretty horrifying.
Yeah, true terror for sure. You don't want that.
You're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. But it is interesting to note that they do seem to follow people that shed blood.
Sure.
Like they have an understanding as well of where they can get like the most blood, right? So
yeah, you just gotta wonder how many like planets like Armageddon or Vrax or any of these like crazy galactic battles. Vigilus, yeah. Are flares appearing there and like
absolutely, there's so much bloodshed. They must just be beacons for these Flayed ones.
Yeah.
And it helps that every world is a tomb world.
It does help that. Yeah.
So.
It's a fact. I wonder when the Terran tomb world is going to wake up. That's the real question.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Emperor purged that one on Terra.
Oh, that'd be an interesting story if like the Emperor just like, okay, I'm gonna like
him wandering the halls of this crypt and destroying all the Necron life, shutting down all the programs, sealing it behind him.
Just annihilating it just because he's the Emperor, and
exactly
he can do that.
Well, he's the Emperor.
He's the Emperor.
When Flayed ones do appear during a Necron battle, they are watched warily but ignored until the major threat has been defeated. Since the Necron have no biological components, the Flayed ones will always ignore them until they have consumed everything available. By that time, the Necron army will have turned their attention to the Flayed ones, destroying as many as possible, forcing them to escape through their pocket dimensions. Yeah, so it is good to note that even though Necron, that's a good piece of artwork. Even though Necron do not like the Flayed ones, they actually allow the Flayed ones to help them in battle against the other races until their battle is won, and then they say, okay, let's clean up the Flayed ones because we can't risk them and staying around and infecting us.
They'd probably like quarantine off sections of the battle zone too. Like, we know flayers have appeared on the northern flank. Like, let's pull our troops out and let them kind of deal with
exactly.
And then once we know who's kind of won, if it's the flayers or the other side, then we'll go re-engage and take it back type thing.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely very... I see them as treating the Flayed ones very cautiously.
Yeah.
Doing everything they can to destroy while avoiding contact as much as possible. Some dynasties have even been known to use the Flayed ones tactically. Bloodswarm scarabs are sent against the Necron's enemies, which attract Flayed ones, leading them to a source of flesh and blood.
Bloodswarm scarabs, do you know much about them?
So I'm pretty sure we would have talked about them at some point.
Yeah, in our Synaptic episode.
Yes, but unfortunately, it's not really ringing a bell. In my mind, it just sounds like these scarabs that emit the smell of blood. And I think their only purpose is to attract Flayed ones and to like distract them. So it would be also a weapon against the Flayed ones that the Necron would use. You know, if you're engaging a Flayed one army, you want to distract them, so you put a bunch of scarabs to make the Flayed ones go all crazy and like turn on each other maybe even, or try and attack these scarabs while you can, shoot them from range. But Imhotep, who is the pharaoh of the Skorpekh dynasty, really enjoys using this tactic. And that makes me think like there must be Flayed ones just watching him all the time, waiting for him to employ these bloodswarm scarabs and be drawn to his battles.
Sounds like risky business.
Imhotep is a risky guy. Okay, so that is all I have for Flayed ones, but there is a really cool thing about them, and it's this. In a far corner of the galaxy, there used to exist the Necron dynasty called the Bone Kingdom of Drazek. This region of space and its planets have become a sort of haven for the Flayed ones, congregating there until they catch the scent of blood and their need to hunt overtakes them again. There are even whispers of a ruler of these Flayed ones, Valgul, the fallen lord. This uninfected Necron, I'm going to say that again, this uninfected Necron rules his kingdom and sends forth his Flayed ones when their food, quote unquote, supplies dwindle. So I think there's a lot to unpack in that sentence.
Yeah,
in
that's
that paragraph.
crazy. So Valgul is uninfected and he hangs out. He has his kingdom. He's got a bunch of them.
Yeah, he runs a kingdom, allegedly, of these Flayed ones, and it sounds like it's a congregating zone. Like, if you're... Like, outcasts need to stick together, right? Safety in numbers, right? Maybe they're welcomed here. I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that he's uninfected. How is he uninfected?
Science!
Does he have an immunity? Does he quarantine himself away from them? Does he force them to, does he live separate from them but still can rule them?
Yeah.
Is he actually not a Necron? Is he maybe infected?
Not a Necron?
Well, what if he's an AI?
Sure. A
Right?
master program.
That has found... Oh, yeah, a master program. Or an AI that has found a Necron body and has put itself in that body.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It just seems crazy to me that there is a Necron with an immunity.
Yeah. We don't know any more information on this.
This is literally all,
Yeah. There's never been a book written on this or nothing.
It's just a snippet out of a codex.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Another interesting thing, I think, is this... so they congregate here.
Yeah.
So why would Flayed ones do this? Are they needing companionship? Are they seeking solace with those of their own kind? Are they having some mimicry of the Necron courts that they all used to be a part of?
Sure.
Run by this Valgul?
Flay. Guilty of flaying.
Guilty of being flayable. Must flay. Why, if you don't want to be flayed, why are you covered in fleshy bits?
Explain.
Yeah. Yeah, so the question I have would be, why are these flayed ones feeling the need to go back to this space?
I just have the picture of this kingdom, like this whole, continent, planet-sized kingdom just covered in gore. Just flayed ones are bringing gore back, and there's these feasts every day, and it's just...
Rivers of blood, mountains of bone.
Yeah, think like
pools of sludge.
Corn demon world.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Crazy.
Maybe this guy is some sort of corn thing, because that's how he could attract all the.
If there was ever a planet that exemplified blood for the blood god, it would probably be this guy's planet.
Yeah. So, if you have a place like that, it naturally draws more flares, which naturally just brings in more flesh because they're bringing in,
Another interesting thing to unpack is this food supply.
Sure.
Now, flayers, they seem to be communicated as creatures of the moment. They have a thirst and they have a hunger that are insatiable and impossible to satisfy.
Yeah.
So they're constantly needing to eat and drink, even though they'll never be satisfied.
Sure.
But this idea that...
It's very wasteful of them.
Yeah, exactly. This idea that they have a food supply in Valgul's kingdom makes me think that they must be taking some kind of tithe or food back with them to this place. And they're not instantly consuming whatever they catch or kill. They're actually dragging it back through their pocket dimensions into Valgul's lairs. Yeah. And I just imagine these pits or massive cages or even old school Necron monuments made of bone or whatever, but just filled with these people and creatures and any Xenos race that they can get their hand on, and they just pull them out, and they have these massive feasts every day. But at some point, they gotta refill these these food supplies. So these Necron are going out, and instead of killing and eating, they're actually taking them back to this hell.
Sure.
Right? If there ever is a hell, that world is going to be it.
Valgul might even have his own slave population on that planet as food supplies, literal human cattle.
Yeah, and how is he controlling these flayed ones and tampering their to fight their urges of needing to kill and flay and destroy?
Well, maybe that's why when they have to go get new food supplies, it's oh, okay, so we had 10,000 humans. They were all...
And Jerry got in the pen again.
Jerry got in the pen. They're all dead. We need some new ones.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool story.
Yeah.
That just opens up a lot of questions about everything we knew about flayed ones.
Yeah, it's very cool. Man, flayed ones, they're super creepy. They're one of the craziest, creepiest, scariest things in all of 40Ks. They have the ability to just appear out of the void, out of nothing, and just eat your soul.
And all they want to do is eat.
Eat.
I have this image of them ripping pieces of a body, shoving it in their mouths, and just chewing and chewing, turning it into this mulch, this... a sludge of just gore and viscera almost, but they can't swallow because they have no... How are you going to swallow if you got no esophagus? No stomach? They're robots. So it's just leaking out of their mouths and dripping down their body. And as soon as they can shove more in their mouth, they do. And then they chew that until it just oozes out. And then they just keep going. And it's just... Oh my! It's a wretched image.
Yeah.
I also like that it kind of puts the Necron that they have a weakness. I like races having a vulnerability.
Sure.
And
yeah.
This being this is a serious problem for them. Necrons not only can get this virus and not come back, but then they have to kill them, which is the Necron now have this dwindling thing where they're we're running. We could eventually run out of
at some point they're not making more Necron anymore. So at some point, if enough people fell to the Flare virus, your race's chances of survival are none.
So let's play the end game thing. 16 million years. Do you think Flares will have taken over the entire Necron?
No.
Because
I think
you're a Necron supremacist.
No.
What?
I think that the more Necron wake up, I I assume that in terms of like a firepower,
Yeah.
like a dynasty has greater chances against a pack of flayed ones. You know, so the more Necron there are, they can distract. They can use their bloodsworn scarabs. They can put like human slaves in front of them to distract the Necron.
But the fact that it hasn't gone away shows that they haven't been effective in getting rid of them.
Well, they have been like sleeping for 60 million years.
That's not an excuse.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't because the whole point is they can't catch them and they could come out of anywhere.
I think that they will always exist.
Yeah.
But I do think that
Okay,
there's
let me explain
no...
how math works though. Is that if they
P
always
does
will
not equal true.
if they always exist, then that means they're slowly taking out Necron. And since Necrons are a fixed number,
That's not entirely true. What if one flayed one is just existing forever? It's impossible to catch him. He's not infecting anyone more.
I would assume though that if they exist, they're infecting.
Well,
more.
now you're making assumptions.
that is my assumption.
I'm making the assumption that he's not infecting anyone. He's just
So-
surviving.
They'll get it down to one. They'll always be flayed ones, but they'll only that
Flayed
one.
one.
It's the rule
Flayed
of one.
one.
Yeah.
It's the rule of one.
Okay.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, though. Like, inevitably, if even one Necron gets infected every million years, at some point there will
Yeah.
be no more Necron left.
That's right.
Maybe that's a possibility.
That's my hope for the galaxy. No more Necron, only flayed ones.
Only flayed ones. in
to be
the
fair,
kingdom of Valgul, the Bone Kingdom.
To be fair, that'd probably be easier to deal with for everyone else in the galaxy than the Necrons. So.
Yeah.
Like, as much as they are patient hunters and stalkers, and they can exhibit behavior that would go against what we normally would think, it's still, I think, more predictable than fighting a mind that is 60 million years old and has fought wars on a galactic scale
Yeah.
greater than anything you could ever imagine. So I do think they would be easier to fight than a regular Necron dynasty.
Cool.
I did find some more information about that guy before we move on, about Valgul.
Okay.
From his throne of splintered bone and tan skin, Valgul rules over his charnel kingdom, his one good eye ever fixed upon retaining what small measure of order he can. Valgul seemingly remains untouched by the... Well, okay, that's all just stuff we know, but...
Yeah. It adds some nice flavor to him.
And I guess he has one eye.
Yeah.
Sure.
How? Why? He's a Necron.
Valgul the One-Eyed.
Yeah.
Maybe one of his eyes was like
Infected,
hit by
so he cut
affected.
it
Yeah,
out.
he rips it out or something. Yeah, and now there's just like weird scars where he clawed his own
That's
face
so
open.
good. I like that. I hope that's the reason. That'd be so good. It's like somehow like I don't know how the virus transfers. But,
It doesn't even. I couldn't even find how it transfers.
but let's say it's just like saliva or something from the flayed one, and it got on his eye, so he's like, I have to remove.
Yeah, he like
this."
shears half his face off.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Another cool detail, when they go out for new food, it's called the time of bounty.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they go...
It is bountiful.
Yeah. Very cool stuff.
So creepy.
Yeah.
But that's it for flayed ones.
They are wild.
Yeah.
They are just super creepy. Death marks, we want to jump into that next?
Yeah. So that's actually the last thing that we're going to talk about
Yeah.
today.
And this is another asset that the
Oh, they're an asset.
that the Necron can...
They got an
call upon.
ass set.
Death marks are a subsect of warriors on Tomb Worlds that are known for their skills in assassination, particularly with a sniper rifle. Few have survived to tell the tale of a death mark ambush.
Not from my experience on the tabletop.
Yeah.
Womp
You
womp.
just kind of got to go 25 inches away from them, and then you're safe from their sniper rifles.
It's great to know that with the technological supremacy that the Necron have, that pretty much every other race is better than them at
Yep.
this aspect. So
I like it.
yeah.
Like
Checks
all, like all Necron, they are cased in the necrodermis and have an hunched over humanoid look. They have one eye centered on their head that glows with baleful energy. Even 60 million years ago, the death marks were known for their patience, precision, and skill needed to carry out such assassination tasks, and they were hired by many Necron courts to eliminate dangerous threats. After the biotransference, they became even more devastating on the battlefield, utilizing a variety of war gear that helped them fulfill their purpose. The main and most useful piece of technology used is the dimensional oubliette, yeah. This device is able to open up a portal to a pocket dimension within 10 meters of themselves, and then use this extra dimensional space to ambush and hide from their targets.
The dimensional forget.
What?
An oubliette is like an old castle term too. You
Yes,
would like
but
drop people into oubliettes where you would forget about them.
Yes. This just seems like a weird word.
Well, it's not a direct translation.
Dungeon.
It just seems like a strange word. Dimensional oubliette. Why would that?
It's just a pocket space that no one
I'll
knows
change
about.
it.
Like
Okay,
an
sure.
oubliette is just
Okay.
like a space between walls.
Okay, so
you know,
I
like
changed
it's-
it. Dimensional hole. Does that sound
Well, it's
better
not a
for-
hole.
Dimensional
Pocket.
oubliette. We're going back to.
That is indeed how you spell it.
Yes, oubliette.
When fighting, Deathmark resides in pocket dimensions and can, from here, observe the battlefield and even tap into enemy transmissions, only to materialize and strike when they deem the opportunity to be right.
The
do know the
perfect
perfect
moment.
time to
My God.
What a
What a
stupid
world.
meme.
Or from
It's
other
one of my
commanders.
favorite Lorehammer memes.
Yeah, it's classic. When a target has appeared, they exit their dimension and place a mark in the shape of a green halo over the head of their target, which allows them to track it no matter where it runs. These marks are called hunter marks. And like it allows them to track them in 5 different dimensions.
Yeah, whatever that even means.
Yeah, somehow they can do that. And it lasts for an hour. So you got an hour you got to survive. The craziest game of hide and go seek you're ever going to play.
Yeah. And it's impossible to hide because they can just see your green halo no matter where you go.
Yeah.
So
It's rigged.
Okay. This dimensional oubliette, we've mentioned pocket dimensions a couple times now, but let's
it's
talk
a Necron
about
classic for
yes. Yeah. Let's talk about how it seems that they work. So you enter this pocket dimension and no one can find you or see you or hear you. You don't technically exist
sure. Yeah, I guess.
in our plane of reality, and yet you can witness our reality. You can tap into transmissions. I don't think you can affect anything while you're in this oubliette, but you can literally just peer over someone's shoulder while you're in this other dimension.
Yeah.
So even though you can't, like, you don't exist to us in our reality, we exist to you. And
Yeah.
it's a crazy, like, one-way mirror.
Yeah.
It honestly sounds like you stepped through some mirror in reality and now you exist like beyond everyone.
Yeah. It's kind of cool too the way it's described. So while other creatures can pass whilst other creatures can pass through this portal, the dimension beyond is not designed to support life, and creatures that enter quickly suffocate due to the vacuum conditions within. Any who withstand this will also have to deal with the extreme debilitation to their sensory perceptions. Yeah, like it's just you're in something you can't even fathom. Really.
Yeah, you can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
Your mind just goes crazy. It honestly sounds like humans entering the warp.
Sure. Yeah.
Of like it's so beyond something that you're able to comprehend that you just go insane.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't suffocate first.
Right,
Hopefully you suffocate before you go insane, but not always the case.
I've never even considered like writing or fleshing out or pondering upon this dimensional pockets before. And someone in our Discord just shared about like, I want to give my Necron this crazy look, but how can I explain that in a way that makes sense? And someone said, well, why don't you say that they entered some pocket dimension for a reason, but the pocket dimension, it was like a faulty one, and something happened, they couldn't get out, but while they were in it, it was like the lighting was all wrong, the physics were all wrong, something was just weird, and then they come out and they're just these weird, crazy, synth wavy looking Necrons.
Okay.
And I've never even considered the fact that you could include an extra dimensional aspect in my Necron story.
Sure,
And I'm definitely going to now, obviously. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. I want to ask you more questions about your thing after this,
Sure.
but still during the episode. So the next thing, the dimensional oubliette isn't the only technological marvel that the Deathmarks use. The Synaptic Disintegrator is an advanced Necron sniper rifle. These cruel...
Is it, though?
It's short range.
Is it advanced?
These cruel long-barreled rifles fire compressed elliptic beams of subatomic particles which destroy neural and synaptic tissues. For the layman, it basically erodes your brain.
It turns your brain to mush.
Yeah. So beginning with the target's brain and spreading in microseconds through the entire body, molecules unbound with one another, causing the luckless target to crumple limply to the ground like a puppet with its strings severed.
Yeah. It's crazy. There's no enter, there's no exit marks. There's just like, pew, 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 you're dead.
Yeah. But those killed by the death marks' first shots are the fortunate ones. For a hit from a synaptic disintegrator that is less than fatal, almost invariably leaves the victim a pale echo of his former self due to the amount of brain tissue that is destroyed.
Yeah. If they don't get you on the first time, now you're a vegetable.
Yeah.
Sad.
Oh. Interestingly enough, even the Necron race recognize the efficiency and deadliness of the death marks and have traditions that dictate a strict terms of use for the death marks. One such rule is that death marks may never be used to eliminate Necron nobility. This even extends so far that any honorable, quote-unquote, enemy will also be spared. But having said that, Necron really deem anything honorable enough that, they're not
other than a Necron.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
There have been like the odd Imperial commander, whatever. There's always the exception, but it would be 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 in a trillion.
1 in a
million.
This
Beautiful.
is Smooth Jazz by Lorehammer QTY. Thank you, James. Okay. So synaptic disintegrators. So we talked about how they're governed, right? And how there's these strict terms that they must follow. Now you have to assume that the people upholding these terms are the Praetorians.
Yeah.
Because who else is going to do it? They're the ones policing the Necron race. Interestingly enough, I don't think their synaptic disintegrators would really do anything against Necron bodies now.
Yes.
Because it seems to target the biological neural. Maybe Necron brains do actually have neural pathways, and very similar to how our brains are structured.
Look, all I know is that compressed elliptic beams of subatomic leptonic. Leptonic. Maybe I don't know anything. Well, that completely changes what I thought.
Oh, I knew about elliptic, but I don't know about leptonic.
They probably wouldn't work on Necron, but that rule still exists. And it goes back to when we were talking about codes and stuff. Ultimately, Necron don't want to eliminate other Necron, especially nobility.
Yes. Yeah. I love this idea that they're kind of frozen in time, but now more than ever, it's important that they preserve what they have left, because as soon as it's gone, you're gone forever. We cannot make more. Yeah. So it's kind of a weird race that the Necron have. They're in a race to claim back the galaxy while taking as little losses as possible so they can be all there still when they own the galaxy. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a solid representation of the codes. It's one of the few that we actually know of.
Yeah. But you can glean a lot from it, so.
Yeah, it really kind of puts like a framework of a shadow around how you think they might act in their warfare.
Yeah.
No doomsday devices against other Necron.
Yeah, you're not blowing up Necron tomb worlds for sure.
Absolutely, that would be a huge no-no. Probably no seditious infections against the master program.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No sabotaging tomb worlds and stuff. Yeah.
But I definitely also could see it that you could act more as if you were doing these things and it's okay as long as you aren't caught.
Okay.
Because maybe not every Necron has that sense of honor and nobility, so there might be some that are out there that are willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And it's more of I'll follow the codes when they're looking.
Yeah.
And when they aren't looking, I'm going to do everything I can to wreck this Necron. What's that called? When you are fighting someone else. Rival. Yeah, words, right? But yeah,
tonic.
Yep.
That
definitely
is not a word. So
I definitely can see them breaking codes.
Yeah,
for sure. Is there a death mark out there that actually is willing to like risk the wrath of the Praetorians and actually hunt down Necron nobility?
It's crazy. They've sent Praetorians to censor them, but I guess they never found the death mark. Like, he's just a sneaky boy.
Well, that's what happens when you can go into dimensional oubliettes and you're forgotten.
Wow.
I don't like it.
Cool. That's death marks. They're cool. They're all cool.
I liked everything we talked about today.
Yeah,
Of course you did.
Yeah, that checks out, actually.
I think my favorite destroyers. I think that's my favorite aspect
too.
of Necron lore. One of my favorite for sure.
I really like Praetorians.
Oh, I forgot about Praetorians. I changed my mind.
I think I like the Flayed ones just for the depth it gives.
Sure.
Yeah,
Is
it's a
the Necron.
surprising amount of information and understanding that you can get on these things. For
It gives the Necrons. I don't know. I like it. I've said it before lots of times, but I like the idea that things have a downside or like a negative or something they're worried about.
Exactly.
They're not
yes.
just like
a fear.
Yeah, they're not just like
Yeah.
It's not an inevitability that the Necrons will win. It seems like it is, but they have things they're concerned about too.
They
So,
might even tell you that it is inevitability, and they might try and believe that it is, but I think you could have an understanding like it is as long as we get rid of the Flayed ones. You know, it's a conditional thing.
Exactly. It's nothing should be inevitable in a story. And when you add something like that, it just makes it so much better.
Well, humanity's divinity and right to rule the galaxy is an inevitability.
Of course. Emperor
protect us.
Emperor protect, praise be his name. But
Right, yes. First of his name, yeah.
yes. And then nominate Gilliman in the nomen of the Holy Spirit of the tech
Just for everyone who can't see right now, we all are making the Aquila cross.
All of us.
James,
All of
Mark,
us.
Very fervently
Mark?
making it. Yeah.
Mark. All right, there we go. I almost called the Inquisition right there.
Okay, so I got some questions about your dynasty.
Yeah, shoot.
Praetorians.
Mm-hmm.
You have them in your dynasty, but they're not a part of your dynasty. Are you gonna paint them like a part of your dynasty, or is there a Praetorian standard color scheme?
So I like the idea that the Praetorians are kind of outside the flow of the dynasty.
Yeah.
And I am fairly certain that I'll paint them because they're not painted right now.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly certain I'll paint them to reflect the traditional Necron look, which is just that silver and the green.
Nice. I'm glad.
But I wonder if I want to give them like a token to show that, because a host would be sent to a tomb world and a dynasty to help like watch them and offer advice if needed and enforce the codes and everything. So I wonder if it wouldn't be too crazy to maybe paint like a pauldron in my color. The thing that I would never change is the Ankh.
Oh, okay. That was the thing I think you should have changed. But I don't know the Necron lore. I forget how that Ankh actually works.
The Ankh is just the symbol of the Triarch.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, yeah. So you wouldn't change that then.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like in your own dynasty, you do the Ankh in your own colors.
Okay.
But the Praetorians, they kind of view themselves as loyal to the Triarch and the Silent King. So it's one of the few things that I wouldn't change.
I think just with a shoulder pad or two, or
Yeah, you just put like one red thing on like a left pauldron or whatever. So
okay, first question.
Or maybe
solved.
even change the energy of their weapons as if they were now using my dynasty. Like
instead of the green, you're using the orange or the blue.
The blue, because I could see it like they're in the dynasty and they're working with the dynasty, but they're outside the authority of the dynasty.
Yeah.
So they still like are engaging the cryptex and getting whatever repairs they needed. If they need resources, they're getting it from the dynasty.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like it. Okay. Destroyers. Do you have like a destroyer cult and a court, on your like tomb world?
So I've never actually nailed that out. I do have destroyers because in 8th they were amazing.
Sure.
And they had if I wanted to win, I had to play destroyers. Was effectively what it was.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of them, but I never have considered writing about a destroyer court.
Okay.
So I am definitely open to having a destroyer court.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
final.
will probably flesh that out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It could be so cool because, yeah, you don't really see a lot of that destroyer court thing, so you have a lot of free leeway. I like that whole madness thing where they're just doing these crazy, like, yeah.
Yeah, I picture my so they're lords. There are lords in the destroyer court, and what kind of lord wants to be petitioned by anything? Like, you want to be respected as a lord, and you're not respected if an immortal comes and gives you like a summons or whatever. Sure. So I imagine that I have this insane courthouse ruled by these destroyers that are insane, and my pharaoh just like walking through it, like trying to not petition or just like demand an audience with that lord. And it'd be some cool interactions of all these like destroyers on like a tight leash, and he's just going like to unleash them.
Your overlord has like Praetorian bodyguards who are like, you can tell they're ready to like, this could go south here. Let's get ready. Yeah. The tension's high. Oh, that'd be a cool story. Okay.
High stakes scenario.
Yeah. And final question for you, death marks. So you have death marks.
Yeah.
Will you paint them in your Dynasty color scheme, or will you do them differently?
I think I will paint them in the Dynasty color. Maybe except for the Ankh again, but I'm not entirely certain. Yeah. So death marks kind of form these mercenary-esque groups.
Yeah, we never really touched on that. I thought I had one line where it's like death marks are a subsect of warriors on a tomb world, but tell me more.
So yeah, they form these mercenary-like groups together that are more bought and paid for than having any kind of loyalty. You purchase them for a mission.
Sure.
And then as soon as their mission is done, they collect whatever fee you had agreed on, and then they leave.
Yeah.
They're kind of like cryptex in that sense, where cryptex can go from loyalty to dynasty, and they're not necessarily like stuck wherever they are.
Yeah. But like your dynasty might have some death marks on retainer for the next 4 million years.
Yes. It could just be like, we have this many missions that we want to get out of you or whatever, we'll hold you on retainer with the promise of this much loot or whatever it is that you want. Okay. So I think I will do them in my dynasty. Sure. I think I would make it like my lord is extremely prideful. And so as part of the condition of him hiring these death marks, I think he would declare that like, while you're working for my dynasty, you will be a part of my dynasty.
Yeah, you're wearing my colors, my
exactly.
sigils.
Yeah, you're announcing my arrival when you kill something.
Okay, cool.
So I think I'll paint them in my color scheme.
Yeah. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
That was my questions for you.
Yeah, very cool. Something I would like to talk about that we haven't talked about in a long time because there's been no need is hobby progress.
Yeah, there's been no need for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I had hobbied for 6 months. It must be 8 months even. It's been a long time.
But you're getting back into it.
I am, yeah. I'm actually starting to paint some models, put some paint on 1 or 2 or 3 models. So, but you know what? That's way more than I've done recently, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've started committing to doing 1 hour of hobbying a day in the weekdays.
Nice. I gotta commit to that too.
Nice. Yeah.
Once my kill team arrives, I'll be a happy little boy. But...
Yeah. So I'm just working on Necron stuff.
Yeah, and you've recently like changed your whole dynasty's color scheme too.
Yay!
So that's fun.
Do you only have what then? Like 300 more Necron to paint then?
Repaint.
Yeah.
They've already been painted once, so repaint.
I know it doesn't look like it, and I don't communicate it, but I actually do have like 1,500 points of painted Necron.
Oh yeah. You have probably like 50 warriors that are painted. Like
yes, never mind like all the immortals and like some vehicles.
Yes, but
so
now you have to repaint
right, exactly. I'm gonna have to redo those, unfortunately. But
you're
I'm
just getting the most out of your hobby dollars.
That's right. Yeah. As soon as you paint something, don't you just repaint it so you can have more time?
Exactly.
Is that not how you do?
The dollar to time ratio can be amazing then.
But I also recently got Pariah Nexus, which James and I split. You took the Space Marine Heavy Intercessors and the Captain and Gravis.
Yes.
And I took the Chronomancer and the Flayed ones, as well as the Necron board and the Scatter Terrain.
Nice. I loved all that Scatter Terrain, man. It was so cool.
Honestly, I was very impressed when I saw that Scatter Terrain. It's a lot of stuff. You can really make like a nice Necron board, especially combined with all that MDF Necron stuff that I have, you can really fill it out.
I've pulled up some images here of the scatter terrain. It's going to be pretty tiny, but okay.
So I have been working on that, and I guess, Mark, you can share what you're excited and is upcoming.
Yeah, like I like you. I haven't done much hobbying in half a year as well, but yeah, like we kind of came to this point, I think, where we're all like, wow, 9th edition, you want to play a 4-hour game with me? No, you can only tolerate from me 2 hours a week. Okay. So we're kind of shifting to kill team, and a lot of the guys in our group are making kill team. So I'm making a dwarf kill team, a demiurge kill team.
And you have nailed down what rules you're going to play with?
Yeah, I think I even got my list. So I'm going to be using Death Guard rules, because like dwarves are like stout and reliable, resilient and slow is another kind of. And heavy armor.
Heavily armored, big chunky weapons.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So Mantic Games is like another company or whatever. They make the Forge Father range, which is basically space dwarves. I could pull up an image, I guess.
Yeah, but there is a inspiration that you have taken for your kill team. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where the idea of these comes from?
I've become an addict to Deep Rock Galactic. I think it's my all-time favorite game.
Yeah.
It's definitely the top two. It's either that or Skyrim. It's hard to decide.
How can you explain this game in like 1 or 2 sentences?
You're a dwarf, you're mining asteroids, and you're fighting bug like Tyranids. But yeah, it's super cool. So my kill team, it's gonna have it's basically the Demiurge Corporation or just mining asteroids. So they sent out like surveillance teams or whatever to go do it, and I'm gonna write backstories for my characters.
you're not like a kill team. You're an employed
yeah.
team trying to mine resources.
Yeah, basically as much as I can steal from Deep Rock lore, I am. Yeah.
I mean, I love the Deep Rock lore. Yeah. I think it's like really nicely laid into the game itself, and it's super flavorful.
Next time we play, I'll have to show you a secret in the spaceport or whatever. This is cool.
All right, I did do some exploring on my own, so it's possible I found it, but I'm definitely all right.
Did.
Okay.
But yeah,
so you're waiting for your dwarves to
come. Yeah. So I have them on order, so I'm just waiting. And yeah, these are some of the models here. Like they're gonna be pretty sweet to paint up.
Yeah, if you want to actually Google them, it's Forge Father by Mantic Games.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very nice. Yeah. I'm excited to see your kill team. Yeah. I'm not excited to play against Death Guard.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
But
yeah, so I'm gonna buy them, and then I'm gonna buy like a box of like Carcharodon Overlords or whatever the AOS dwarven line of dwarves is.
Oh, okay.
Just so I can get some extra like talismans and a couple more like truly dwarvy type things.
Right. Yeah, because these look very spacey, but you want your guys to have a little more of that classic dwarfy minor.
I want you to be able to see the beard poking out of their helmet. You know,
you want to see the rune talismans on their shoulders.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe one of them will be carrying a keg.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it strapped on his backpack or something.
Yeah, I want them to be super flavorful, as every kill team should be. So.
Yeah, I agree. So James,
that's what I'm up to.
What has been your hobby progress in the past? I mean, we're talking about what we've done for the past 6 months.
Sure.
So
I've been doing a lot of things. So since I was kind of okay doing ninth, but it seemed like pretty much everyone else kind of faded off from doing ninth, which is fair. I wasn't. The rule sets are meh. But when everyone stopped playing, I basically just I started getting in a little to bolt action, and I built out,
which is a World War II mini gaming.
Yeah, I painted up like 50 Germans and Americans together, so quite a lot. And then
nice dwarf, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I built a D-Day table. From scratch.
It's a Normandy beach thing, and it looks awesome.
It came out super good. It's not quite done yet, but it's quite a nice
what did
table.
You say? You said you painted like 50 German and 50 US guys or something?
Together, it probably comes out to about like 50 or 60 models. Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and I've been working on those a kill team as well, since that's what we're getting into. And yeah, I've been busy doing lots of stuff. But I have lots of time. I work from home, and then no one is allowed to do stuff, so I just sit at home and model a lot. So.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a bit about your kill team?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to make it so my chapter. I have my own custom chapter, and I wanted to make my kill team. The idea would be that they go around finding relics, and and or saving relics from being taken or something like that. The idea being like they're saving stuff that is important to like the Imperium, specific objects, because otherwise it's like, what is a kill? My chapter would send a bigger force if it was like a battle.
Yeah.
So what would you send like 5 guys to do? You'd send them to like rescue something.
Yeah.
I think that really fits with your chapter. I don't know if you've shared this, but your chapter has kind of lost all memory.
Yeah, the idea is that they got mind wiped by the Grey Knights because they engaged with some demon stuff, and they obviously didn't have permission to know about the Grey Knights. So
Minor detail.
So they got all their mind wipes. Like all of the chapter got their minds wiped, so they don't really have a backstory of who they are or what chapter they came from. So they're just kind of.
I kind of like that because when you're hunting for these relics, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it almost feels like they're trying to hunt down these relics of their chapter and trying to learn maybe some of the history of what they had been previously.
Well, like a lot of the thing is like a lot of them got picked up by other chapters and spent times with other chapters, so they have kind of like this confused identity with their chapter. So like maybe they want to claim relics from other chapters' histories, like, oh, maybe we're part Space Wolf and we want some of the.
Okay, so it's more like you're searching for it, but you're willing to look anywhere.
Yeah, because like I have one guy that is basically he's basically a Space Wolf, but he's
Stormborn.
Not, yeah, he's not a Space Wolf. Like all of the chapter is Blood Angels in Origin, but they don't know that. He spent all his time with a whole bunch of Space Wolves. So yeah, that's the idea, is that maybe they want to just save relics and accumulate a backstory, create a lore of their own kind of thing, or a history.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I'm super excited. We played a game of Kill Team the other day. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. It was
Even the 3-way, it was really cool.
And it felt balanced too. Like I've done some 3-ways where it's just like, what? Okay, first player's out. In turn 1.
I mean, that's classic 40k.
Yeah,
You know, if you're going last in a game of 40k on a 3-way, you can get shot off the board in first turn.
But with Kill Team, it's like, okay, only 2 guys would have shot before me with 1 guy each. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. You still get to play. You still get to have a lot of fun.
And the chances of you making that wound roll, failing the save, and then having the injury roll, you're probably going to have some guys.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing great in that game, but I still
that's classic James rolling.
Yeah, it was it was a lot of classic James rolling.
There was before you tell the story, there was one time where I rolled 2 dice and they were both 1s, and then Mark had to roll next and he rolled 1s, and then James rolled and he rolled 1s,
like
all in a row.
Ones in a row.
It was pretty crazy. But I was only 2 kills. If I had killed 2 of your guys, like those last 2 guys you had, if they would have both died, I would have won.
Yes, because Mark was broken and I would have broken.
Yeah.
I was a couple kills away, and you happened to roll what, 3? I rolled 3 6s
on your injury rolls,
on
which
injury
means
rolls.
My reanimation protocols kick in and I just lose all my flesh wounds.
Yes, so that was the worst case scenario for that possibly happening. 3 6s in a row, and you.
In all fairness, though, you're heavy intercessor. You took 1 heavy intercessor with you, and Mark and I must have poured so many shots into that
every
guy.
turn. I didn't shoot anything else the whole game except all my shots onto 1 guy.
And remind me, did he die?
He did not die.
For my own sanity, I'm going to say yes.
He did
I
die.
got him turn 1.
How many flesh
Johannes.
Yeah. It was fun. I'm looking forward to doing more.
I really am looking forward to. I'm really excited to start playing multi-level games with like you're trying to like maybe go up to get something, or you have to like travel your way down.
Yeah.
And just to tie back in what is happening in our community. So they're making this, it's called Necromunity, which we talked about before, and if it's not clear, they're taking the idea of what if Necromunda, you take all the things that they did and we skinned it and we changed it to our planet. And, you know, all of the information that they give you in Necromunda, we're going to give you for our own planet. And I'm excited to actually play games on this planet and in these hive worlds that our Discord community is effectively creating.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
And to run a campaign on this thing.
Yeah, and like Yeah, that's the goal. You know, you have lofty goals. Ideally, you want to draw a map out. The whole community's doing it. You know, you have some overarching storyline. It's going to be perfect.
I find that the best way to get things done is to let other people do them.
Yeah. Delegation is now what me and you are.
That's right.
Very proficient with.
But yeah, I'm really excited to play in this like established hive world. I'm excited to try and find a reason why there's Necron and Space Marine and Demiurge and
well, it makes sense why I would be
what's
there.
Nathan going to play? Is he going to play Chaos or is he going to play Custodes?
I have no idea what he plays.
Yeah, anyways, whatever it is, I'm really excited to get back and kind of have a gaming group again where we play consistent games because it's been a long time. But
yeah, I've been missing just throwing dice, so
it felt good.
It felt good.
Felt good to shoot that death mark off the table, turn 1.
Yeah. My sniper killed your sniper in one shot.
Literally, they are incomparable. Your sniper beats mine in every single way.
Yes, my sniper is much better.
Which is crazy. Because,
camo cloaks, and you're so much for your oubliette.
yeah, exactly. I forgot it existed. Womp womp. Anything else we want to share before we wrap things up?
We are doing Kill Team. We are located in Calgary. If you are interested in playing with us, shoot us a message. Maybe we can make it happen here. I know with COVID and stuff, it's tough to do.
Yeah, but at the very least, get into some communication with us.
Yeah, because COVID won't be forever, and we are trying to start stuff up. And even if we're just talking, and maybe just 1 or 2 people hang out at a time. But anyways, if you're in Calgary, shoot us a message. We're looking to grow our gaming group. So
yeah. Anything else? Well, before we actually end, then I'm going to thank all of the new patrons to our show. I'm going to run through the list here. It's long, so bear with me. Thank you to Baron. Thank you to Thank Me Bitch. Dylan.
Thank you.
Dylan, Eli, AKXLVII, That Rye Guy, Philbo, Uriel Ventris, Robbie, Falling Noble, Troy, Mike, Miles, Meet My Lord and Savior Reuben, Matthias, Nicholas, Felix, Clamshell, Finn, Matt, Nick, Chris, Sid, Cole, Meat Doesn't Matter, Bolt, Morthos, Utrot, Eric, Duncan, Eric, Brendan, Barnabas Rex 2000, Alexander, Jelly, Hele?
Yeah. It's like jalapeno.
Yeah.
It's Hele.
Kenyon, Harrison, Nathan, Meat, McClung, Kyle, Doug, Ataraxia, Meat Again, Miko, Omegon's Third Testy, Trayton, Medicated Nixon, Dylan, Ostrich, The Dustpan, Christian, Officer Weeb, Cody King, I Can't Read Either, Joseph, and Caden Yee.
Wow, awesome.
I think that's Oosterreich, but
What is? Oh.
Wow, honestly, thank you all for joining our Patreon and supporting the show. It means a lot to us.
It really does. Thank you guys for the encouragement, and obviously, it feels really good when people
when you
put
see
their
dollar
money
signs in your bank account, it feels really encouraging. I love it. Feel so encouraged. No, but seriously, thank you all for supporting the show. It means a lot.
Yeah. We hope to see all of our new patrons in our next painting contest that we're running on our Discord.
Every one of you better be there. Otherwise, I will find you.
Yeah, we'll message each and say, hey, we would like to see your submission for this month's contest. Other than that, I guess thanks for joining us, for everyone listening. Thank you to our patrons. If you're watching us, thank you. And
we love you more than the others.
It's true.
Slightly more, yeah.
Yep.
But we do love you more.
Yep.
And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Peace.